So it's really giving that humility to the believer in that sense. And as someone mentioned, Alhamd is all the praise. Actually, Alhamd, it encompasses all the praise, as though there's no other praise. All the praise is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you think about it, brothers, even when you praise someone else, that praise, it's originally linking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it's only Allah who gave him the capability to do whatever he did to help you or have that particular characteristic that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him. So, in that way, it's the truth. It's the truth actually. Alhamd, all the praise is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rabbil alameen. Rabb. Rabb inside the Arabic language means al-Malik, the one who possesses, or al-Sayyid al-Muta'a, the one who is obeyed, or al-Murabbi, the one who raises someone or brings someone up. Sorry? Did someone mention something? The Lord, yes, in the English translation. So, Rabb can be used sometimes for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even it's used inside the Quran on the tongue of Yusuf alayhi salam. When he says, Ya sahibi as-sijni, amma ahadukuma fayasqi rabbuhu khamra. When he's giving the interpretation of the dreams, he says, Oh my two companions inside the prison, as for one of you, his Lord will give him wine to drink. Yes? His Lord is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he's talking about the king. Yes? So Rabb, in that way, in itself, by itself can be used by a king or by someone like that. Yes? In a position like Fir'aun, for example. When you say Rabbil Alameen, Lord of all of the universes, not the Alam, but the Alameen of everything which has been created, it makes it specific to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the point even Fir'aun, he didn't understand what it is. قال فرعون وما رب العالمين. Fir'aun, he asked, what's Rabbul Alameen? Fir'aun thinking himself, I'm Rabb. I'm the Lord. What's this Rabbul Alameen? So, when we say Rabbul Alameen, no person can confuse it with himself. Fir'aun couldn't say, oh, that's talking about me. He couldn't say that. It's obvious. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's something other than a human being. It's not something that a human being can have. And the Rabb, when we take something as a Rabb, it's actually linked to ruling as well as worship. When we say Rabbul Alameen, it covers the ruling as well as worship. We know this, the ayah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, when he's reciting, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. They took the rabbis and the priests as lords other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So arbab is the plural of Rabb. One of the companions came and he heard Rasulullah alayhi salatu reciting the ayah. And he said what? He said, Ya Rasulullah, we didn't used to worship them. So he understood the Rabbul Alameen and whatever in the sense of worship now. Arbab. We didn't used to make them as arbab because we didn't used to worship them. And what did the Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam say? Isn't it the case that when they made something halal, you follow them, i.e. they made something which was haram, halal, you follow them and made it halal? And when they made something haram, yani made something which was halal, haram, you followed them? He said, yes. In this way you took them as arbab min dunillah. This way you took them as lords other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Rabb is not a secular or a worship in the secular sense. When we say Rabbul Alameen, the creation of everything who deserves to be obeyed in all of this. And so we recognize from this that there is no Rabb except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillahi Rabbul Alameen. There's no Rabb except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you also recognize, even though there's no Rabb other than Allah, you recognize that He has worshippers other than you. When you say Rabbul Alameen, Lord of the universe, you recognize you're only one person inside that universe. So even though you only have one Rabb, this Rabb has uncountable worshippers. Again, brothers, remember I mentioned in the beginning, Surah Al-Fatiha is a destruction of pride. When someone reflects upon it, Surah Al-Fatiha destroys any issue of pride inside the heart of the believer. Something makes him humble in front of his Lord. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. we already discussed about what Rahman Rahim means. But why repeat it? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's repeated. Why repeat ar-Rahman ar-Rahim again? We mentioned up until, the different names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. Allah, the lafz al-Jalala, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Rabbil Alameen, Maliki Yawmiddin, Malik, so on and so forth. Yeah, but ar-Rahman ar-Rahim mentioned twice. And with only one ayah in between. Why? Why is ar-Rahman ar-Rahim mentioned twice? Because the repetition, brothers, gives emphasis upon the mercy. The repetition, in the same way ar-Rahman ar-Rahim gives emphasis upon it by repeating two names which have very close meaning. Again, to repeat the ayah, the words inside another ayah so soon afterwards, emphasizes the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the mercy of Islam. Because Islam answers for us the questions, why we are here, what we were created for. Tells us how we should live our life, what we're going to be answerable for with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what the reward or the punishment is after that. So all of this, how to achieve the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of this information, all of this given to us in this book is a rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We didn't send you except as a rahmah for the mankind. Maliki Yawmiddin. Brothers, first of all, I because of the time, I started to move a little bit quicker, but let me stop now and just say, okay, until this point, do brothers have any specific questions? Obviously, I've been asking you questions along the way to make you think, inshaAllah. But is there any specific point that anyone has at this stage? Khair, inshaAllah. Maliki Yawmiddin. The Lord or the possessor of the Yawmiddin.
Day of judgment.
The day of accounting. Yes, the day of judgment. Because deen means a recompense for the good and the bad. Deen is the recompense for the good and the bad. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Malik, possessing it, the king of it, the lord of it, Yawmiddin, again, like Rabbil Alameen, He's the only one. It makes it clear in that. You can have a Malik on this earth. You can have someone who's a king, claims to be a king, has a position of ruling. But Maliki Yawmiddin, no. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could be Maliki Yawmiddin. And that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, يَوْمَهُمْ بَارِزُونَ لَا يَخْفَى عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْهُمْ شَيْءٍ لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ. Who has the possession today? لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَّارِ. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one, the irresistible. This ayah is talking about the day which they're going to come out. They'll be seen on that day. Nothing is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ. Who has the mulk today? Who has the possession today? Who has the kingdom today? لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَّارِ. This destroys everything that the disbeliever in particular believe inside this life. That he owns something, that he has something, that he is someone. On that day, everyone can claim in this life. This is the difference. Everyone can claim in this life. But on the Yawm al-Din, there's one Malik, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can claim other than that. On that day, the possession is for Allah, and it's clear that it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There can be no dispute over it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, يَوْمَ يَكُومُ الرُّوحُ وَمَلَائِكَةُ صَفًّا لَا يَتَكَلَّمُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ الرَّحْمَنُ وَقَالَ سَوَابًا. On the day which the angels and the spirits, the nufus, come about in their lines, لَا يَتَكَلَّمُونَ. No one can even speak إِلَّا مَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ الرَّحْمَنُ, except for those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them the permission. وَقَالَ صَوَابًا. And they will say the truth. And on that day, even brothers, the day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the people's skin speak, will make their eyes speak, will make their mouths and their limbs speak without their own will. All of that to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the Malik of the Yawm al-Din. This ayah, look at its place. It comes straight after Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. We just mentioned Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim has been mentioned twice in order to emphasize upon the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately makes sure that the believer understands his role in this life. Maliki yawmiddin. You will have a day of recompense. Yani don't rely upon, don't allow yourself to be fooled by reciting the ayahs Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahman ar-Rahim again. Don't be fooled into thinking the wrong, incorrect idea, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive me whatever I do. You know, many Muslims have this concept. Oh, Allah has rahmah and He'll forgive me whatever I do, and then they go and do whatever they want to do. This is an incorrect understanding of the forgiveness of Allah, the tawbah of Allah, the repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the forgiver of sins, yes. But Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned inside the hadith, Al-Kays man dana nafsa. The smart one is the one who blames himself, the one who accounts himself. وَعَمِلَ لِمَا بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ, and works for what comes after death. This is the smart one. This is how Rasulullah described him. The smart one, the one who blames himself and works for what comes after death. وَالْعَاجِزِ, and the one who is a shortcoming, the one who is incapable, i.e. in this case the one who is stupid, the one who is foolish, is the one who what? Who allows his nafs to follow his desires. Allows himself to follow his desires. وَتَمَنَّ عَلَى اللَّهِ, and then he hopes on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani he just does what he wants to do and he hopes, oh, I hope Allah will forgive me. Without making any tawbah, without trying to correct himself, without living according to Islam. He just has that hope. Akhi, why do you drink? Oh, don't worry, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rahmah. Why do you take interest? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rahmah. Why you don't pray? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, akhi. This is not the way we understand. Maliki yawmiddin, coming straight after Rahman Rahim, reminds us, puts us in the place. There will be a day where man is raised up and accounted for his action. Ibn Kathir mentioned Rabbul Alameen in the ayah previously to the second ayah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbul Alameen. Rabbul Alameen is general. It covers both this life and next life. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifies it. Maliki yawmiddin. He's making it specific to the yawmiddin. Why? For the point which I mentioned earlier. Many people claim to be rulers or to be kings or to, have their position inside this life. You have people who even claim to be gods. Whether this was Fir'aun in the times gone by. Ana rabbukumul a'la. I am your Lord Most High. Or in today's world, when someone comes along and says, leave your deen, leave the religion, and act according to how we think is right and how we think is wrong. In that way we make ourselves gods. Even though they don't say that, that's implicit. We make ourselves gods. So it so dominates the world today. People thinking themselves. And the Western culture is just exactly like that, brothers. All their culture, because it's taken from the Greek culture. All their culture is about how man is some kind of god. In the Greek culture they used to make their gods were like men. They would even have arguments like men, Zeus and whatever else. They would fight with each other. And the whole idea of the Olympics was a kind of a worship of the athletic ability and the body of man. They have copied all of these things inside the so-called modern society. It's not a modern society, my dear brothers and sisters, because kufr is the same kufr since shaitan until today. So it's actually the same kufr. They claim this today, but when they are raised on the Day of Judgment, no one can claim anything. Because Maliki Yawmiddin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specified at that time, it will become clear for everyone. And so in this case, it's mentioned the second time. This understanding completes our understanding, actually. This understanding completes the believer's understanding. Because many people, they believe in God. Many people then just rely upon the mercy of God. Isn't this what the Christians do, by the way? Forget about the issue of their believing in Jesus. But their belief is that man is sinful and God will just forgive whatever you do. That's the concept. So they have, whatever you do, as long as you believe in God, you'll be forgiven for it. But what specifies the Muslim is he understands the issue of accountability. And it's the lack of accountability in today's world which has led to all of the problems and fitan that we see around us, actually. So this ayah is very, very important. And I mentioned the ayah from the Quran. وَلَئِن سَأَلْتُهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولَنَّ اللَّهُ. قُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And if they are asked who created the heavens and the earth, they would say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the disbelievers. When they asked who created the heavens and the earth, they say Allah. So they bear witness that Allah is the creator of the heavens and earth. قُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say, all praise is due to Allah, rather Muslims don't know. Why they are kuffar is because they deny having to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They deny having to be raised on the day of judgment and being accounted for their actions. So this is why Maliki Yawmiddin is what specifies it. Because it might even be that the kuffar can say Rabbul Alameen in the general sense. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the heavens and the earth. And this is something which, you know brothers, do you watch like these shows like Planet Earth or Deep Blue Planet, stuff like this, these documentaries? Who is the person who presents the show, the documentaries? David Attenborough, yeah? Yes, Attenborough. When you watch these shows, you think, subhanallah, Allah is the creator. Everything is working inside such perfection, such harmony. You cannot deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This man has been working on these shows time and time and years and years and years. And yet, in the end, he disbelieves in God. Why does he disbelieve in God? Why does David Attenborough disbelieve in God? Do you know? He disbelieves in God. Why? Because he says, I don't understand how a God can make a world which is so cruel. You see how he misunderstood what's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim? He misunderstood what's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. If he understood Maliki Yawmiddin, that there's a recompense for everything which occurs, then he would never have that understanding. But because he misunderstood that, and he just took the other understanding that the Christians have, or that some of the misguided Muslims have, Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, he then said, well, how can Allah be Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim? And because of his mind trying to comprehend such a thing. Alhamdulillah. Any questions on Maliki Yawmiddin, or points? Khair, inshallah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It's you that we worship and it's you that we rely upon. The first thing you notice about this ayah, brothers, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ. What's the first thing if you think about it in the English even? It's you that we worship and it's you that we rely upon. The first thing is you've gone from the third person to now addressing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. It's addressing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in what's called in grammatical terms the third person. Obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Lafz al-Jalal and we don't call him a person, but in the grammatical sense. In Arabic it's called al-Ghaib. Yes, the one who's not present. You've gone from that to Iyaka na'budu. Iyaka. It's you that we worship. So you've gone from the ghaib to the mukhatab. Yes? You've gone from the one who is not present to the one who is present. To catch your attention. To catch your attention at this stage. And it's as though it's saying, after the first ayahs, and remember the hadith which I mentioned, you've worshipped Allah, you've given Him the praise, you've put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His rightful position by glorifying Him and so on and so forth. Yani you've given the respect. Therefore now you drew yourself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now you're drawn closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by saying these, and now you can address Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah allows you to address Him. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And why is it إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ? It's you we worship. It doesn't say in the English, I'll try and use, it doesn't say we worship you. It says you we worship. Yeah? So it's a taqdeem inside the Arabic. It's yani bringing the word forward. This is for ikhtisas. Yani to say specifically it's you Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we worship. Yes? So if we say na'buduka, we worship you, you could also say na'buduka wa and something else. As you say iyyaka na'budu, is kind of limiting it. It's only you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we worship. And it's used in other places inside the Quran. بَلِ اللَّهَ فَعْبُدْ. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to worship. Yani after the mushrikeen were talking about the thing, Allah, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, بَلِ اللَّهَ فَعْبُدْ. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to worship. وَكُنْ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ. And be from those who thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, putting Allah, the lafz of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lafz of jalal Allah, before a'bud, in order to make it ikhtisas, in order to say specifically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's you that we are worshipping. And the connection between this ayah and the ayah that came before it, brothers, is so strong. Lord of the Day of Judgment, Maliki Yawmiddin. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It's you that we worship and you that we rely upon. It's like, straight away, this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do inside this life, the dunya. What we're going to be accounted upon in the next life. And you notice, brothers, there's no separation between deen and dunya inside Islam. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship, وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, and we rely upon you. Rely upon you in all of our affairs. Ibadah, the worship is mentioned first, and isti'ana, the reliance, is mentioned second, because ibadah is the intention. That's what we're created for. I didn't create man and jinn except to worship. That's our ultimate goal. But in order to be able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to rely upon Him to facilitate that inside your personal life and also as an ummah together. So the two, isti'ana and ibadah, they go together. Now, why does it say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ and not إِيَّاكَ أَعْبُدُ? Why is it using the noon? The noon here is for plural. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. Even if you're praying by yourself, you don't say إِيَّاكَ أَعْبُدُ. You say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. Why is that? Why do you think that we say you that we worship rather than you that I worship in this context? Sorry, brother, can you raise your voice?
All creation is worshipping Allah, so we are part of whole creation.
Yani we, as in the Muslims, in this sense. It reminds us that we are one ummah, in that sense. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. It's not me, even if I'm praying alone, but it's all of the Muslims who recite this. We are worshipping you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from amongst the human beings, yani, because obviously the believers, they deny that. The disbelievers, yani, they deny that. So this is one very important aspect. Yes. What else? Yani that reminder that we're one ummah, that we're a collective. What else?
We did not worship al-mushrikeen. You alone worship, we did not worship al-mushrikeen.
Yes, that's in the general sense of the ayah, yes, that's correct as well. But why the difference between إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ and إِيَّاكَ أَعْبُدُ? Why else? Think back, what did I mention? One of the very important points of the ayah is, of the surah.
Diminishes your pride.
Diminishes the pride. Again. Some people might say, oh, but إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you're using the plural we, it's like a royal we. Yes? But actually no, in this case, because your worship again, what is it? What is it in its isolation? And so this is a very good point from it. It's again, it's dealing with the pride. And when you say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ rather than أَعْبُدُكَ or نَعْبُدُكَ, again you're putting Allah and the mention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first before you mention yourself. And in this there's a bit of a lesson, yani, even in the adabi kind of, in the lesson of how to deal with the literature, if you like. And it's polite to mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. So we have this as well as the sense of the collective and the one ummah and to being nothing. When we say إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, brothers, this is very, very important. Yani, I will give the tafsir of it in light of one of the events which is going on inside the world today that everyone is hearing about, which is the issue of Syria. Yes? And in Syria, there's a kind of a protest going on against the rule of Bashar al-Assad. And everyone should know Bashar al-Assad anyway is a disbeliever from the very beginning. No one can ever doubt this because he's Alawi. And the Alawis is believing that Ali is the son of God and so on and so forth. So this is the sect which he belongs to is already disbelieving sect. But other than that, more important, or not more important, but the fundamental point as well is the system which he's ruling by and the rules which he's been ruling by all this time has not been Islam, of course. Then un-Islamic rules, the Ba'ath party, the Arab Nationalist party with socialism and so on and so forth. And he's been an enemy of Islam. And he's been an enemy of the Palestine as well. Because sometimes some people think that, Syrian regime there with Iran against Palestine, against Israel. This is actually false. Rather, Syria for years has been trying to make any kind of deal with Israel that we will give you peace and security just to give us some of the Golan Heights back. This is well known. So the Ummah is uprising as part of the whole of the uprisings which have been going on around the Muslim world. And some of the people, they say, turn to help from the United Nations. Turn to help from NATO. Turn to help from Britain or from France. Even though all of these organizations or countries, they are un-Islamic. Not only are they un-Islamic, but the basis upon which they deal with the Muslims is as an enmity towards Islam. What I mean by that is, they work hard to prevent any kind of Islamic rule returning. You know this all the time. Any kind of propaganda against Islamic rule. Anyone talks about Sharia, has a lot of propaganda against him, whether inside the United Nations, whether inside Britain or France or any of these places. So these people, the enemies of Islam, not just any neutral person, enemies of Islam. But people say we should go and seek help from them. The Ummah in Syria should go and seek help from them. And the Ummah in Syria, Alhamdulillah, they replied so plainly. The majority of them, you see inside their demonstrations, they said openly that they rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, rather than upon any of these international organizations or other entities to resolve the affairs for them. What it means by relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone means to resolve your issues by Islam and to have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? So therefore, when you're seeking your rizq, or you're seeking your rights, whatever it may be, you do it in a way which Islam has legislated, and then you rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring about the result. Which is exactly, inshaAllah, what so many of our brothers and sisters are doing inside Syria at this time. That they are patient, calling upon help from the Muslims to overthrow this man, and refusing to accept help from the disbelievers at the same time, who would try and utilize the situation for their own sakes. And so this is a practical understanding of إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. And this is very, in today's world we need to really understand this Aqidah point. Because being an Abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a true Abd Allah in this day and age is so difficult. To find a job which is not dealing with interest in London is very, very difficult. Because the whole economy, the city and so on and so forth, banks. To find a job even inside the world, you can say, is difficult without these issues. To be a Muslim who stands for Islam and talks openly about Islam and doesn't compromise upon Islam is very difficult. So the Abdullah who really understands إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, he needs to also really understand وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, that we rely upon you inside that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Straight away after saying we worship you and we rely upon you. And again, it can be linked to pride straight away, brothers. Someone can think, I'm a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the position of a slave of Allah is a high position. Allah has drawn you close to Him. You're thinking you're worshipping Him, you're relying upon Him, but it's only اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Allah is the one who gave you the ni'mah, who gave you the blessings, guide you to Islam. And so you have to retain that humility always. Always saying, guide us, i.e. keep us upon the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So it puts you inside that humble position and reminds us that our fate is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to rely upon Him and to thank Him all the time for this guidance which He gave to us. as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions inside the Quran, وَقَالُوا الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي هَدَانَا لِهَذَا وَمَا كُنَّا لِنَهْتَدِيَ لَوْلَا أَنْ هَدَانَ اللَّهِ. And they say, all praises are due to Allah who guided us to this, and we would not have become guided unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had guided us to it. And if every brother reflects upon that, he'll see it's true. It wasn't you who chose your parents who raised you upon Islam. It wasn't you who chose that such a brother would come to you and tell you about Islam if you're a revert to Islam. It wasn't you who chose that you would find the book inside this place. And there are so many things outside of your hands which enabled you to then make the choice to be a Muslim. So don't be fooled by your choice to be a Muslim or your choice to be an activist, to be a da'wah carrier. Don't allow yourself to be fooled by such a thing. Don't allow yourself to be fooled to think, I'm following إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. I'm a da'wah carrier, I'm relying upon you, and I don't have any cares inside the world other than you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then become proud inside yourself and think of yourself as being something. No. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Guide us to the straight path. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. The path of those which you put the blessings upon them, not those who were غير المغضوب عليهم, not those who were had anger upon them, ولا الضالين, or those who went astray. So the Sirat al-Mustaqim is the path which the prophets all were upon. This is the path which the believer is upon at this time. And you understand from this ayah, you're either upon the straight path or you're on falsehood. There's no third way. You're either upon the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim, Sirat al-Ladhina an'amta alayhim. Yeah? You're either upon that path or you're upon the falsehood, the path of those who had anger upon them or and went astray. Now, again, I'm going to talk about the adab because it's something which is nice, the flavor of the Quran here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Sirat al-Ladhina an'amta alayhim, the path of those that you had mercy or gave blessings upon them. An'amta is again, it's using the verb in the form saying you had mercy upon them. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. غير المغضوب عليهم now becomes again third person. It's not even a verb. It's saying not those who had anger upon them, in order that the anger doesn't get linked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this respect, in this ayah. Even though we know that the anger is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is the one who's angry with them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the anger in itself, as of itself, as though making a distance between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that anger, not to have it connected to Him at that time. So it's part of the adab, if you like, in this case. How did the people have the anger upon them? You know, the Mufassirin, they explained the ones who had the anger upon them is the Jews, the Bani Israel, and the ones who went astray is the Christians. The anger upon the Bani Israel, why was the anger upon Bani Israel, brothers? What's the anger on Bani Israel? Some, generally. They didn't obey. They disobeyed. They changed the deen. They disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They denied the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they changed the deen. They refused to follow. Musa says, let's go and fight. You go with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're waiting here. This is the Bani Israel. Yeah? They refused to follow. Even though they've been, given so many blessings. Saved from Fir'aun and still they come with so much fitna. This is the anger upon them was because they refused to obey. They denied the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas the Daleen was those who went astray. How did the Christians go astray? How did they go astray? What does it mean they went astray?
Because they are calling Jesus the Son of God.
Yes. This is one of the examples. Or they took themselves to be monks, and added things into the deen. They did things which exaggerated. Even with the best of intentions. Some of them with the best of intentions. They did things which are exaggerated, or they made beliefs which are exaggerated with the best of the intentions. Which is different from the Bani Israel. They didn't have the best of intentions. Yes? They had the anger upon them because they refused. Dalin is those who went astray with the best of intentions. Look at this in today's situation when we reflect upon ourselves, brothers. Those who try and change the deen, deny the deen, like the secularists. You have people who call themselves Muslims in the Muslim countries and they're saying, but we can't rule by Islam. We need to have, pluralistic society because it will be unjust if we rule by Islam. And so on. They bring many, many excuses and they push for their secularism. They share the characteristic with Bani Israel in this. They deny the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They refuse to follow Allah's deen. They just reject it outright. That was for those days. The days of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. What about those who went astray? This is like, brothers, those good intentioned Muslims who try and modernize the religion. What I mean by modernize the religion, I don't mean doing ijtihad for the new situation, but rather they try and make the deen suitable for the Western life, the modern life. Call it the Western life. They try and do the tafsir of Quran to please the Universal Human Rights Declaration of the United Nations rather than to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they might have the best of intentions. Someone can have the best of intentions, but they can go astray because they start to make things up for someone else, for some other purpose, and they think it's for the best of intentions. They think that they're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the same way the Christians, they thought they were worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they exaggerate and make extra things and so on and so forth. Same way today the modernists. They try and change the deen with the best of the intentions, but this is also, brothers, a path which is a path of kufr. Let's not deny something like that. Someone who comes along and tries to change the deen to make it acceptable for the modern times, rather than applying Islam to the modern times. They're two different things. Such a person has gone on the path of those who went astray. And they are different from those who have the anger against them, which is like the secularists, as was mentioned. Inshallah, brothers, even though I gave this session in Birmingham, and similar happened, in the sense of towards the end you begin to go through it a little bit more quickly because of the time and people's concentration, inshallah. So inshallah I'll close there. This is just, I hope, brothers, this is my hope. I hope that this lights something, even if it just makes someone more interested, aware, to go and seek tafsir of Quran, and to go and think more about the Quran when they're reading it themselves, and to try and read it with the understanding. That's the objective, inshallah. This is for us, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, to contemplate upon it, to better ourselves with it, inshallah, and to try and have that living connection, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, with the Quran. And inshallah, from next month anyway, as I mentioned, the sessions will not be the long session like this. The long session went, as I said, because we did the introduction first, and then we did the Fatiha, so it's almost been 2 hours actually, as I mentioned it might be. If there are any questions, general questions or questions linked to the topic, inshallah, they can be raised now, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, or we can close the circle. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
One of the hadith you mentioned at the start was, you said the Prophet said is the one who calls for Jahiliyyah is not one of us, the one who fights for Jahiliyyah. Do you mean Asabiyya? Or is this another hadith?
Asabiyya, sorry, yes. Yes, I mentioned it in the context, there's more than one narration about that, so I didn't mention it by literal love. I just mentioned it because Rasulullah mentioned these things. Yes. Brother.
But people say Sulaiman is worshipping jinn. The jinn is controlling Sulaiman. But he was the one that, he started this similar conflicting.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions inside the Quran that He gave him control over the jinn. So that's where we take it from. That's why I said, when we do tafsir of Quran, we don't take from the stories of Bani Israel or the stories of Christians if it contradicts with Quran. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions explicitly, and anyway it goes against the idea of prophethood, that the jinn can control a prophet. But Allah mentions explicitly inside the Quran that one of the things which Sulaiman was given control over was the jinn. This is explicit inside the Quran.
When was the surah revealed? When was this surah revealed?
Which surah?
Revelation of the surah.
Subhanallah. Actually, I can't remember. This is a good question. When exactly the Surah Al-Fatiha was revealed? If it was Makkiyah.
بالذات
Now,
إن شاء الله اسمه الله.
in ayat of the Surah Al-Mustaqim, when it says about keeping us for the right path, obviously it seems to be contemporary in the sense that how we live our lives, we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws. But does it also include the understanding when after the day of judgment, when you're judged and you have to make your way to your destination, your eventual destination, there's also a bridge, there's a path, and it can be very narrow. Is that also the right, is it referring to that as well, the right path?
Allah alim, yani, but from the understanding of the ayah, I mean, some people might say the Sirat al-Mustaqim is talking about the Sirat over the hellfire on the day of judgment, yes? But obviously the ayah in the context which is mentioning is more general than this. It's not specifically mentioning this.